Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Nathan Garland.
And I'm Daryl Flanagan, and we are known as a group called Revelation.
Yeah, and so in today's video, we've actually been asked a couple of questions, and we're going to go ahead and give you a disclaimer. This is going to be a little bit deep. It is going to be a little bit of a touchy subject, and so the subject is actually suicide, and we actually were approached with two different questions, and the first one was like, what is suicide? Kind of why is it wrong? What kind of point do you get to there? And then we got asked like, where do you go, like meaning heaven or hell, if you do commit suicide? And so before we begin, we are just going to warn you, this is going to be a little bit,
Touchy.
yeah, it's going to be very touchy, and we'd love to hear like, what do you think below, like in the comments, and just let us know. And before we begin, like, we really want you to know that there is a way like out of it. Before we go into it, like, there is a way out of it. Like, that's not the option to do, and that God does love you, and he has created you for a specific purpose, and that, like, that purpose was not for you to end it. Like, you were supposed to fulfill it, not end it. And so with that said, Daryl, go ahead and kick it off.
Well, speaking of suicide, I have dealt with thoughts of that, like, personally. It's just like before I came to know Christ, and just you feel like hopeless. I feel how some people felt before, and it's not a good feeling. You feel like no one's there. You feel like life is just throwing everything at you, and you just feel hopeless. And that's where we go wrong. We have a loving God there for us. We just like to face this battle by ourselves, wouldn't you say? We just like to take it into our own hands whenever we need to put it into God's hands.
Yeah.
And there was nights like where I thought, like, what would happen if I actually went through this? Like, is there heaven? Is there actually hell? I mean, there's like thoughts, like, because I wasn't a firm believer all my whole life, so those thoughts did cross my mind a lot. And just looking at it now, it's just like, whenever I started going to church, and then I started accepting Christ for who he was, that's whenever I started getting more comfortable with opening up to other people. And then, I think that's where talking about it and just praying over it helps me more than anything. Just knowing that I wasn't alone anymore, and that, I had a loving God that died for me. So I need to fulfill his purpose.
Right. And so for those of you who kind of are not very familiar with what suicide is literally like killing yourself, like ending it all. And the reason that we're actually making this video is because, and it's horrible to say this, but this is something we have to like have this kind of a conversation of. It's a topic that's it's like normal now. Like, it's not like anything new. That's what's sad about it. It's like, it's not new. And so the question was, where do you go? And this is one of the most like debated, like kind of Christian arguments there is. And Daryl, wouldn't you agree? Like, it is very like debatable.
It is. It's just really debatable.
Yeah. And so I personally believe, because there's no proven, like, it's kind of like cussing. There's nowhere in the Bible that straight up says like you cannot cuss, but there's like scriptures that point to it. And so I personally believe that if you do this, you will end up going to hell. Daryl, where do you think you go, like, if you end up doing it?
I believe hell.
And like, I hate saying that. Like, I really do. It's horrible.
It is, but I mean,
like, there's so many scriptures that point to, like, there's nowhere that straight up says, like, if you kill yourself, you're going to hell. But you also got to think there's no scripture that straight up says, like, if you do this, you're going to hell, right? Like, there's nothing like that. But there are several scriptures about like your body and the temple, and like, the very, like, something we all are familiar with is one of the 10 Commandments. You should not murder. Killing yourself is considered murder. And if you kill yourself, God has like specifically designed your body as his holy temple, right? Like, that's what we've been told. Like, we have to keep it safe. We have to keep it protected. And when you're doing that, you're destroying it. Like, you're destroying the temple. You're basically saying, when you do that, God, like, it's not good enough. I don't like it. there's no purpose for me. I'm done with it. And a lot of people like to think if I do kill myself, I could go to heaven because I'll ask for forgiveness before I do it. And like that is so wrong. Like I don't know what they're like. I don't understand why people believe if you ask forgiveness before you do it, like what, like that's not how it works.
No.
Because like there's a difference between sin and a mistake, right? Sin is you know it's wrong and you continuously do it. A mistake is you do it once, you realize it, and you don't do it again. And so when you're asking forgiveness before you do it, it's not like it even matters because you know that it's wrong and you're going to do it anyway. And that brings me to a verse in the book of James, like if you know the good you ought to do and you don't do it, it's considered sin. And you know that you're not supposed to do, you're not supposed to destroy like the temple, but you're not supposed to do that. And you're going to do it anyway. And you're dying in sin. So like that points to, this is where you're going to go. And I hate saying it, like this is like a horrible talk. Like I hate talking about this, but it's sad. Like we have to have this conversation. Like we have to answer this.
Just because, you have to acknowledge it nowadays. Just because there's so many things going on in this world with social media and trying to fit in, and just so many things that teenagers are trying to do nowadays. And if they don't fit like the criteria, and they get put down by others, it's just so many like little things that you have to acknowledge, really.
Yeah, and like that's what's sad is like we're having to have these kind of a conversation. But Daryl and I both we both were talking about like what are we going to do next for the Revelation group? What are we going to talk about? And we both kind of felt this kind of tugging at us, like this topic. And so, we were kind of asking for the reassurance, like, is this what you want us to talk about? And we actually got messaged or asked by somebody the next day about where do you go if you commit suicide. And so like that really showed us like, that's what we're supposed to do. And I don't think that's a coincidence because I don't believe in coincidences. I believe in God and I believe in what he's going to do. And I believe that he is an almighty, powerful God who will do what he needs to do to get through to us. And so this video is not to kind of like, I don't know. How would you
say, like, it's not like telling you, like the bad things, but just trying to tell you that there's hope.
Yeah, there is hope. Like there is a hope, and that's what's awesome about Christianity is there is a hope in this, and that's that Jesus is alive, and that you will have a perfect eternity. Like you're gonna live with him forever. It's like a paradise. Like he said it to one of the thieves on the crosses before he died. He said, "You're gonna live with me in paradise today." Like that's what it's referred to as, and so. We both have talked about it and prayed about it, and that's where we believe you go due to so many scriptures pointing to it. And so the purpose of this video was to just kind of show you our thoughts, and that we want you to be aware that like God is real. There is there's biblical proof proving that Jesus is real, walked the earth, died on a cross, and rose again from the dead 3 days later. Like there's proof of that. And so we want you all to know like he does love you and he's here for you. And there is a way out. And like if you're going through that and you have questions, please feel free to message us. Like we'd love to talk to you. That'd be awesome. If you have any prayer requests, send them our way.
Also, if you have any friends that you don't know that are dealing with these kind of thoughts, we would highly recommend that you ask them to come to church with you.
Yeah.
Just check up on them. Like little things really do mean a lot for somebody who is having those thoughts.
Yeah. And so that's kind of where we're going to wrap this discussion up. It was a really hard topic, and we have spent a lot of time in preparation making this and kind of what are we going to say? Like, this is really hard to do. This was a really touchy subject, but we have to have this conversation. But if you all have any ideas, maybe what do you think we should talk about next? What would you like to hear more of? Just please send them our way. And that's going to kind of wrap it up, but we would like to give you an apology for not being very active this week. It has been a really rough week for the both of us. We've been very busy, been in and out of doctors and that sort of thing. So it has been busy, and we're glad to be back at it. But
it feels good.
Yeah, it feels good to be back. Like, it feels really good to make this video. And so we do want you to know, like, we do love you a lot, and we are here for you. If you have any questions, comments, prayer requests, please send them our way. We'd be more than happy to talk to you about it.
Oh, I agree. I think I could have said anything else myself.
Yep. And with all that due, we just want you to know that we love you and that Jesus loves you. And we hope you have a great day.
See you all.
See ya.